Black people should be the last people to vote Democrat. But since we're so easily manipulated, that's exactly what most of us do. We've become useful idiots, as Vladimir Lenin put it, describing people in the West who advance the communist ideology while not knowing that they're contributing to their own demise. We fight against racism, yet the majority of us repeatedly vote for and back the Democrat Party that created the Ku Klux Klan. This is the same party that calls Republicans racist, when the Republican Party was founded by mostly blacks during Reconstruction. We've been social engineered, so we protest people who want to help us while we embrace those who use us and keep us oppressed. When will we understand that the Democrat Party is not for us, but against us? Decades of handouts have created dependency. We accept living for crumbs, and we eagerly wait for those crumbs every month. If you go to any sizable city looking for black folk, we're easy to find. Just ask, where is the inner city? There you'll find us in the projects and low-income housing and in distressed neighborhoods. And what about that change you can believe in? How's that working out for you? 7 years now, and all we have to show for it is more than double unemployment since Obama's been in office. And now he's giving all your freebies to others because there's always room for more useful idiots on the Democrat Party plantation. Call me an Uncle Tom, a sellout, or whatever, but you can't call me a liar. Black people, are you enjoying the Democrat Party plantation, where the shackles are no longer on your body but on your mind? The evidence is all around you. Open your eyes. Look at your neighborhoods. Look at your cities. But it's okay. You like being Democrats. Black people, you've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, hosed. I repeat, hoodwinked, bamboozled, hosed. Wake up and break the trance. Come off the Democrat Party plantation while you still have a chance. Vote for Donald J. Trump. We've been fools long enough. We can do better.
I came in from Atlanta. I'm from Chicago, but I come up under the realization that we got to educate our people about the Democratic Party, because he's talking about Dr. King. If Dr. King was living today, he would not be talking about the Democratic Party. I promise you that, because the Democratic Party did nothing for us. Nothing. The only thing the Democratic Party is doing is keeping us as slaves, and all these brothers and sisters that's rolling with the Democratic Party, that's in all these positions, they ain't doing nothing either. Now, I've been down in Atlanta dealing with a lot of ministers, and I got a saying, they can't beat me to the bathroom. You know, and that's the real truth of the matter. And they keep talking about the talent tent, all the brothers and sisters coming out of college. That ain't the talent tent, because that was true. We wouldn't be in the condition that we're in. The real talent tent for the brothers coming from prison that has woke up and their DNA is exploding, and they out here telling the truth about what we need to be doing. The Republican Party, we're really talking about a lot of the same things, and our people's Republican anyway. You follow what I'm saying? So again, anytime you're around a lot of our people in the Democratic Party, they want to keep us subservient. Like I was saying, we got two of us. We got two different mentalities in our nation. Those of us that want to rule ourselves and those that want to be ruled by other people. The Democratic Party, they want to be ruled by other people, and we ain't got no problem with that. That's why the meetings that we go to, you don't see the Jesse Jackson, the Al Sharptons, the NAACP, SCLC in the meetings that we have, because this ain't the meeting for them. They want to be ruled by other people. We on the march to rule ourselves, and that's why I'm hearing everything that Paul McKinley is saying, because, you know, we've been trained to go in there and hit the level just because it's a Democrat. And that's what we got to get out of. I had a mentality, when I hear brothers say Republican, I thought he was a traitor. You follow what I'm saying? Until I realized what this is really all about, and they have our people conditioned. All the pastors in the church, when they hear Republican, they turn their shoulders up and they turn their nose up at people that say they're Republican. And we really got to educate our people about, look at what the Democratic Party has done for us. When you look at our community, you're looking at what the Democratic Party has done for us so far. To us and for us. So all of this has been done by the Democratic Party. So it's time for us to jump ship and go and do a new thing. And like Paul said, everywhere I go, they be getting upset when I be talking about us moving like the Democratic Party. I've been talking to them about, why don't y'all quit crying about these jobs? They want to go to other people and cry to these people. Y'all ain't giving us no jobs. Well, listen to the reality of that. You're asking people to give you the jobs that they're creating for their people. Are you kidding me? You follow what I'm saying? So this is the nonsense that's going on in the Democratic Party. And the only thing, I've been down in Atlanta and New Orleans, they only want to keep complaining. This is where they're keeping up a lot of trouble. They know monies are coming in. And you sitting at the table with the opportunity to block this money or to say, look, how are we going to cut this money up with everybody? They don't have the backbone to say it at the meeting, but when the money do come, then they want to create problems by complaining that these people ain't doing the right thing. This is the nonsense that's going on. You follow what I'm saying? If you didn't have a backbone to speak up when the money, you knew the money was coming, to stop it, to block it, to say, look, this money ain't coming to our town until we know how we cutting it up. You didn't have the backbone to say it then, but then when the money hits the table, you want to complain. So I'm like, oh, the white folks stealing all the money. That's what's wrong with our people right now today. Now, this brother Paul McKinley, he had a backbone to take to stop the things that's taking place before they happen. And this is what you call provoking violence. These people just provoking stuff by not speaking up. And they the ones that's provoking all the trouble. Because I get tired of, and our youth ain't hearing that, because our youth keep seeing our people who call themselves leaders complaining and protesting. This ain't the 60s, and we ain't got time to be marching no more. And that's why the youth ain't feeling it. They ain't even going to church. Why? Because the churches are Democrats. The churches are the ones, our biggest problem is our community churches. These church leaders, and we got Inglewood, 300 churches, and a black-owned bank, and a black-owned grocery store. All of these churches, Democrats. Everywhere we go, we have problems. What are they? Democrats. So we need to move into another ticket. That's all I got to say. And we have to educate our people about the difference between Republican and Democrat. And just because a person's Democrat, don't be hitting that button. You don't even know what that person is talking about. That person could be a Ku Klux Klan because he's a Democrat. We're hitting the tape. We're hitting the ticket. And that's why our problems are lying. So we have to be the men that have the backbone to say the things that have to be said. And like he said, I'm all for them, because down in Atlanta I said we need to form a group called X Factor, because we do make a difference. We make all the difference in the world because we have a backbone to take to say the things that they won't say. That's all I got to say.
Hello, my name is Elbert Lee Guillory, and I'm the senator for the 24th District right here in beautiful Louisiana. Recently I made what many are referring to as a bold decision to switch my party affiliation to the Republican Party. I wanted to take a moment to explain why I chose to become a Republican, and also to explain why I don't think it was a bold decision at all. It is the right decision, not only for me, but for all my brothers and sisters in the black community. You see, in recent history, the Democrat Party has created the illusion that their agenda and their policies are what's best for black people. Somehow it's been forgotten that the Republican Party was founded in 1854 as an abolitionist movement with one simple creed, that slavery is a violation of the rights of man. Frederick Douglass called Republicans the party of freedom and progress, and the first Republican president was Abraham Lincoln, the author of the Emancipation Proclamation. It was Republicans in Congress who authored the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, giving former slaves citizenship, voting rights, and due process of law. The Democrats, on the other hand, were the party of Jim Crow. It was Democrats who defended the rights of slave owners. It was the Republican President Dwight Eisenhower who championed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. But it was the Democrats in the Senate who filibustered the bill. You see, at the heart of liberalism is the idea that only a great and powerful big government can be the benefactor of social justice for all Americans. But the left is only concerned with one thing: control. And they disguise this control as charity. Programs such as welfare, food stamps, these programs aren't designed to lift black Americans out of poverty. They were always intended as a mechanism for politicians to control the black community. The idea that blacks, or anyone for that matter, need the government to get ahead in life is despicable. And even more important, this idea is a failure. Our communities are just as poor as they have always been. Our schools continue to fail children. Our prisons are filled with young black men who should be at home, being fathers. Our self-initiative and our self-reliance have been sacrificed in exchange for allegiance to our overseers, who control us by making us dependent on them. Sometimes I wonder if the word freedom is tossed around so frequently in our society that it has become a cliche. The idea of freedom is complex and it's all-encompassing. It's the idea that the economy must remain free of government persuasion. It's the idea that the press must operate without government intrusion. And it's the idea that the emails and phone records of Americans should remain free from government search and seizure. It's the idea that parents must be the decision makers in regards to their children's education, not some government bureaucrat. But most importantly, it is the idea that the individual must be free to pursue his or her own happiness, free from government dependence and free from government control. Because to be truly free is to be reliant on no one other than the author of our destiny. These are the ideas at the core of the Republican Party, and it is why I am a Republican. So my brothers and sisters of the American community, please join with me today in abandoning the government plantation and the party of disappointment, so that we may all echo the words of one Republican leader who famously said, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last."
I would say that when you look at the Democrat Party, you are looking at a plantation. And let me tell you why I say that. Back in the days of slavery, when that slave ran away to the North, he didn't see many free black faces like he saw in the South, where he was in a system where there was nothing but black faces. I see in the Democrat Party often so many blacks, and people ask, CL, how come there's more blacks in the Democrat Party than there are in the Republican Party? It's the same reason there were more slaves on a plantation than there were in the North. It's because there were very few of us who had the courage to leave that system of tyranny and find freedom for ourselves.
Now what he's saying is, even though the top poorest cities in this entire country have been run by Democrats for over 50 years. This is going back to President LBJ saying, I will have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Yes, think that over. The black Americans, no matter these things, will vote Democrat 90% of the time. 90% of black Americans will vote Democrat, even though liberal democratic policies have failed the black community and are oppressing them quite literally. The government is giving assistance to illegal aliens before you. The government is giving assistance to Syrian and Muslim refugees before you. Lyndon B. Johnson said, we are going to give them enough to be happy and keep voting Democrat, but not enough to make a difference. This is the irrefutable truth. And we call it the Democratic Plantation because the government has the black American population forced to call anyone that goes outside of the Democratic Party to think for themselves and want freedom like the Republican Party or the Libertarian Party. They call them an Uncle Tom or Uncle Ruckus or other demeaning names like that. Doesn't that sound like slavery to you? Doesn't that sound like the Democrats are enslaving the black Americans to think a certain way, and that if they go out and think for themselves and go outside of this box that they have provided with the black Americans, that they are forced to put shame upon themselves or put shame upon the others who have gone outside this box? That sounds a lot like slavery to me.
72% of Black babies are born outside of wedlock. Those are the ones who are born. But this is a more grabbing statistic for you. Take into consideration, and I don't care what your politics is on this particular subject that I'm about to mention, but just look at these numbers. You have 43% of all abortions performed in this country performed on Black babies. We're only 12% of the population. In the state of New York in 2008, more Black babies were aborted than born. Now, it doesn't matter what your politics is on that. Again, those numbers, though, are very troubling when you talk about just 7% of the population. When we talk about how to get them further enslaved, this is what the government has found, and this is what they used Barack Obama to do. They have found that the slave, or the person that they want to bring into shackles, he doesn't necessarily want freedom. What he wants is comfort, more food on the table, a more comfortable floor to lay on, those types of things. He doesn't necessarily want freedom. He wants comfort. And so we'll give him a cell phone. We'll make him think that he's going to get free health care. We'll make him think that we're going to make his life better with words. But all the time, taking those things away from him, making him codependent. There's a sick relationship that Black people have developed not only with government, but with money.
Look at the out-of-wedlock rate before President LBJ, and then look at the out-of-wedlock rate now. It was a lot lower. This is the oppression of the left. This is the true oppression, and it is the democratic oppression. And he talks about Margaret Sanger. He talks about Planned Parenthood. Did you know that Margaret Sanger said that colored people are like human weeds and they should be exterminated? Yes, this is true. This is all 100% fact. Did you know that Margaret Sanger's grandson works right now for the Planned Parenthood corporate office in New York? Yes, Sanger's family is still working for Planned Parenthood. The pro-eugenics, quasi-Nazis family is still working for Planned Parenthood to this day. Did you ever question yourselves and ask yourselves why 99.9% of abortion clinics are in Black, poor neighborhoods? Where's Black Lives Matter on that? 43% of all abortions are Black children? Look up how many millions of Black children are killed by Planned Parenthood every day.
When you look at affirmative action, it was Richard Nixon who actually put that into play. When you look at Martin Luther King Day, it was Ronald Reagan who gave us Martin Luther King Day. All the major achievements that have been won for Black folks over the years have actually come from the Republican Party. But somehow the Democrats have hijacked what has happened to us historically.
I'll leave you with my final thought. The Democratic Party is the party of slavery. Fact. The Democratic Party is the party that started the KKK. Fact. The Democratic Party is the party of anti-abolitionists. Fact. The Democratic Party is the party of Margaret Sanger. Fact. The Democratic Party is the party of LBJ, President Lyndon B. Johnson. Fact. Who created a system specifically to hold down Blacks and is on video record using the N-word many times. Finally, I've addressed in my last video the House of Rayford Farms, a poultry plant in North Carolina, that prior to an ICE immigration raid, it was 72% Latino working there. After the immigration raid, it became 80% Blacks working there. This is how illegal immigration directly affects Black unemployment and why it is so high. Contrary to popular belief, no, it is not the farms that the illegal immigrants only work in. It is poultry plants. It is manufacturing plants. It is the plants that used to be in Detroit, Michigan before the Democrats got a hold of that city. Break the chains and think for yourselves. I don't care what party you go to or stay with or move to, but start to think for yourself. Stop being a slave.
Hey America, great news. Black Americans are finally bolting from the Democrat plantation. Blacks are ditching Hillary Clinton and Democrats are in a panic. A recent Los Angeles Times poll found that black voter support for Clinton fell 19%. A Michigan poll, support fell 11%. A Florida poll, Clinton has 68% of black voter support. And a North Carolina poll, Clinton has 64% of black voter support. This is huge because in 2012, President Obama got 93% a black vote. Democrats are in panic mode. They are marshaling out the big guns to bolster black support. President Obama tried to rally black voters at a Congressional Black Caucus dinner, and in desperation, Obama told the audience it would be a personal insult if they don't vote for Hillary Clinton. President Obama, your policies are an insult to Americans and have been harmful to black Americans. Finally, black voters are waking up. President Obama, you know what they say about payback.
He was giving a speech down in Philadelphia, and had a bunch of Black Lives Matter protesters came in and tried to shout him down. And they were upset. They remember back in the 90s when Hillary Clinton, running for president now, talked about gang members as super predators, and had used that kind of rhetoric to justify the notion of a lot of the tough crime policies that her husband and the Congress and all those people passed. You know, super predator, that's like the kind of stuff people used to say about the guys in NWA, right? And the culture that you guys represented. It seems crazy that we're still having this conversation in 2016.
To call your own citizens super predators is pretty harsh, and you know, and it's pretty big indictment. You know, it's just like the term thug or hoodlum. You know, it's just an easy brush to paint somebody with, and it's really not solving the problem. It's just making it worse because now you have, you know, the people or the authorities feel like, okay, now they're justified at how they treat these so-called super predators. And what is that? Who is that? I mean, specifically, who are you talking about? Because, you know, the thing back in the 80s, Daryl Gates and the LAPD, they did a war on gangs.
Right, sure.
But if I'm a black kid that's not in a gang and but I look like a gang member to this white officer, then it's a me. So that's the problem with a term like super predators.
Right.
And for some reason, the Democrats feel like they're exempt from these protests. Like, we're Democrats. Why are you talking to us like this? Go talk to the Republicans. No. Everybody's a little guilty of putting, you know, of turning their back or, you know, or passing bad legislation, and everybody should be called out on it.
That like still makes sense to you that conversation's still happening, like the Black Lives Matter wants to prosecute that case. That seems like still totally legitimate.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, because she might be the president of the United States, you know, and if she becomes the president of the United States, we need to know what she's thinking, how does she think, how is she going to handle this, how is she going to fix this? You know, she helped create it in a way. How are you going to fix this?
You got a point of view about it?
Mexico is such an important problem. Mexican government's policies are pushing migration north. There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously, you know, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
Oh, there you go. Maybe Hillary misspoke, though, right? Maybe she misspoke when she was talking about barriers and deporting. And
well, look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
Okay, well, it sounds like she's bragging, like she's proud of it. Maybe this is just talk. Nope. In 2006, Senate Bill 4775, Hillary voted for a triple-layered wall to keep out undesirables. Maybe that was a fluke. Nope. Hillary voted for deportations, border security, incarceration centers, and appropriations for fences and triple-layer walls, voting for over 14 anti-immigrant Senate bills between 2005 and 2008.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Largely, Hillary Clinton's comments here today, John, were based around the recent violence that we have seen, the police-involved shootings of black men in Minnesota, in Louisiana, and then the killing of white police officers by a black gunman in Dallas. That was really what she based her comments on around today. And remember, Hillary Clinton has some vulnerabilities herself, even as she calls for criminal justice reform because of her support in the 1990s for anti-crime legislation that ultimately helped contribute to this era of mass incarceration that she now speaks out again.
We just lost Breonna Keeler.
With some Trump supporters, let's play what they said.
David Duke and people like that, they come out from under the rocks all the time around this time this year. It got nothing to do with Donald Trump. We're all Americans. I think we need to stop with all the racist stuff and the race baiting. Like me and my friend right here, we just met today, we was talking. You know, we got to stop with the racist stuff and this, that. We all Americans, man, and nobody paying David Duke no mind.
Clearly, let me just be clear here. Obviously, the majority of Donald Trump supporters are not African American. I don't know how many African Americans were in that building, but that is one person that we have chosen to cut that sound from.
The servers are no longer hooked up and working. I mean, if they are, they're with the FBI. And people know that they're not available to hack anymore. I mean, it's like Donald Trump saying, oh, you know, I hope Putin gets in a 1985 DeLorean and goes and finds those 33,000 emails. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Not like that at all.
I'll tell you what scares me. What scares me is the fact that the emails are out there somewhere probably, and that we could have a president that could be blackmailed over them. That's what concerns me. It's about our national security.
Hold on. You can't just invent things. You can't just invent things.
I'm not inventing anything.
You just invented an entire thing. The FBI has already come out with a report on Hillary Clinton's emails. What you just said was an invented thing. There's no 33,000 emails.
There are other work-related emails that they did not produce to state and that we did not find elsewhere and that are now gone because they deleted all emails they did not produce to state, and the lawyers then cleaned their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic recovery.
That are going to harm our national security.
Hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
You know that there was an entire year and a half. We're not going to relitigate that. No, Amy, we're not going to relitigate that. But you can't make things up. Not if you're going to invent things. Okay, you can say your comments.
I'm not going to invent things, but the FBI also said.
No, ma'am.
Yes, the FBI also said that she has not turned over. She didn't turn over all the emails.
No, ma'am. You cannot invent things. You cannot say things. You're putting out incredibly inflammatory information.
You don't know.
By the way, you may have seen that I recently launched a Snapchat account. I love it. I love it. those messages disappear all by themselves.
On the campaign trail is obviously going to be covered. So my question to you, without mentioning the Clintons and Bill Clinton, which has been
why we mention George Bush every time.
Wait, let me finish my statement. Which has already been litigated and relitigated on the own merits. Donald Trump's statements on the campaign trail. You don't think it's fair that the media should be covering it?
Oh, I don't think it's unfair. I just think it's silly. Look, he's running against Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely.
He's running against the sexual harasser and abuser's enabler. So again, I don't know why we're not talking about that. You know, it has been litigated.
We're not talking about that because it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with what happened. She's not her husband. Her husband was her husband has been impeached over that.
But Donald Trump's not known to be
over a
politically correct
decade
or a
ago,
politician
and
either.
you're still, hold on guys, both of you are talking over me. Let me finish. And then first Kurt, and then I will let you respond. You're talking about something that happened over a decade ago. The man has been impeached for it. She is not responsible for her husband's actions, yet you are bringing it into a campaign and it doesn't seem fair. What if you did the same thing with Donald Trump from something his spouse or his father, if someone else did in his family? It has nothing to do with him running for president. We're talking about his own actions, his own individual merit. So, if you're going to talk about Hillary Clinton, then bring Hillary Clinton's actions into it. Don't bring her husband's actions into it.
I'd like to bring Hillary Clinton's actions into it.
Absolutely.
When she was given the choice between standing with a serial sexual abuser and
all right,
with
Kurt.
women who are being
Stop. That's not fair.
Sexual harasser.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Can we stop that, please? It is not fair. It is not fair. It is a low blow. It is the, yes, I want to end it. This is the lowest of the low, and it has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton. It is just a cheap shot that, can you please stop? Can we stop? Can we cut him off, please? Thank you. Can we end it? Thank you. We're done. Thank you. We'll be right back.
When you get one-on-one, especially if it's Hillary, okay, Donald Trump will go places nobody is willing to go, where the media at this point isn't willing to go. Bringing up Clinton's women who say they were intimidated by Hillary, having them come forward and speak a litany of issues that
I'm
you
thinking
can't
that
even
might not
imagine.
be a winning argument for Donald Trump right at this moment.
That isn't going to be a winning argument.
Sure it will.
How many derogatory things has he said about women?
You know how many
among
young
women are 75% right now.
You know how many
he
young
is not
women
going
in this
to make that up. There is no way he can win.
Do you know how many young women in this country don't even know that Bill Clinton was impeached? No, maybe they heard Monica Lewinsky. They don't know the women that have accused Bill Clinton of sexual improprieties and that has said they've been threatened and intimidated by Hillary Clinton.
You know, Hillary Clinton said that people have a right to be heard.
Don't let anyone silence your voice. You have a right to be heard, and you have a right to be believed. We're with you.
And I think that in some of the most prominent cases, not only were the accusations not disproven, they were confirmed and acknowledged by President Clinton.
How's that?
So I think, well, he acknowledged he had a relationship with Jennifer Flowers. He paid Paula Jones off in a settlement, and has acknowledged much of what Monica Lewinsky says happened.
Monica Lewinsky says that you used a cigar as a sexual aid with her in the Oval Office area. Would you be lying? Yes, no, or won't answer.
So those are three pretty prominent examples.
A girl who was raped by a pedophile that Hillary Clinton bragged about getting off. Wait, let me finish. Hillary Clinton, what do you mean? You don't even want to hear it? That Hillary Clinton is on tape bragging about, as a lawyer, getting off on a technicality.
An audio recording of an interview with Mrs. Clinton from the early 1980s was dug up. In that clip, Mrs. Clinton seems to admit she knew the defendant was guilty.
Remember that case where I represented that guy? It was a fascinating case. It was really an interesting case. This guy was accused of raping a 12-year-old. Of course, he claimed that he didn't. All this stuff. He took a lie detector test. I had to take a polygraph, which he passed, which forever destroyed my faith in polygraphs.
How did it turn out?
Oh, he plea bargained. We got him off. It was time served in the county jail. He'd been in the county jail about 2 months.
That woman now says Hillary ruined my life. What's wrong?
I'm gonna
That's not fair.
leave it there.
Clinton,
no, thanks.
God
guys.
forbid
I'm
that
gonna
I
leave
should.
it there.
God forbid that I should defend
Steve
Hillary
Malzberg,
Clinton, but she was
Judson
appointed to
Phillips.
represent somebody, so she's got to do her job.
I'm going to leave it
And that
there.
was 40 years
Goodbye.
ago.
Hillary Clinton blamed the victim. Number 101 when you're dealing with rape cases, don't blame the victim. She blamed a 12-year-old girl, a 6th grade 12-year-old girl, of seeking the attention of older men and fantasizing about being with older men. There is audio.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this, so, I mean, I just think you should be very...
It's widely reported. It's widely reported.
Widely reported. So is the National Enquirer. Widely reported.
We
widely
can
reported
go.
doesn't mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Hillary Clinton had accused her of some sort of culpability in her own attack.
Widely reported.
We
Widely reported
can
doesn't
go.
mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out. Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this.
Clinton wrote of the victim, "I have been informed that the complainant is emotionally unstable with a tendency to seek out older men and engage in fantasizing."
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Mrs. Clinton seems to admit she knew the defendant was guilty.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
And I do think the audio really changes it, where she's saying he took a polygraph, and then she says that it forever, destroyed her faith in polygraph.
Yeah.
She thought
she's admitting that he's guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a problem. I think it really pokes a hole in that narrative.
It's not on this network, I would point out.
A lot of people in Michigan that are planning to vote for Trump, and they don't necessarily like him that much, and they don't necessarily agree with him. They're not racist and rednecks, or they're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this. And Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant, because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they've lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him. And now hate him. Thank you, media. the enemy of my enemies is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system because it's your right. Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.